Kahalo Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Bakar Kodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone of Well. I am not a member, however, I've entered into their labors. Peace and mercy to the sincere brothers and sisters doing this wherever you are, whatever your lot may be. I like this dude. He does a lot of bringing to light, right? Make sure their tongues fall upon themselves. And he may not even be an Edomite, but that's not the point of this. And we're not going to let the whole thing play out. I really just want to focus on tracking the Israelites here and tracking our own people. We all know that Esau Edom is a liar, and his history or his story is written by the conqueror, right? That is why they were able to write themselves into moments of importance and throughout history, throughout time, okay, they're able to write themselves into or fabricate themselves into creation of things and pretend that they are the originator of all things when they are merely thieves. To the letter of the word, they are nothing more than thieves and liars, and they do it well. But this is my bread and butter. These are some certain subjects. One, I love history, but as an aspiring polyglot, okay, or somebody who wants to learn multiple languages, okay, more than three. I love languages. I love learning about them. I love the origins of words, and it is something that is a key piece in deciphering this truth, right? Before you need the Holy Spirit to allow you to gain understanding. But this is my passion. I think this is where my lot lies most definitely. I picked up on the paleo pretty quick, and I'm not interested in the Greek, but you got to know some words. You got to know the origins, the etymology. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let him talk a little bit, maybe about the 3-minute mark, and we'll pause it when necessary. Pick some scriptures, go into the history, and I also went ahead and used this devil's technology to gain a little bit more understanding, right? But you have to, with this, you have to know how to talk to it. As crazy as it sounds, you can't just dive right in. Right? You have to lead with certain questions, and then it will give you the answer. If you just, try to go in, who are the ancient Israelites and who, blah, blah, blah. If you go straight in, it will stick to its programming. I'm guessing they haven't put a patch out or updated, but as long as you kind of ease your way into asking the questions, even if you already know the answer, just the way you word it, you can, kind of piece these things together. Okay, so before he goes, I ask, okay, what were the oldest writing forms? Okay, earliest known writing systems. Okay, so it talks about the Sumerians, okay, which is modern day Iraq, and then it talks about cuneiform, right? So think of the Epic of Gilgamesh. It had the triangle-looking writings, which we'll pull that up if we need to. It's not that important. Okay. And then I ask, what's the second? Second, the hieroglyphs. Okay, which we understand that our people were in the Egyptian captivity for many, many years, right? 400. Okay. The third is what? Third writing system is the Indus Valley script, which modern day Pakistan, northern India. Okay, all of these places where Esau Edom. This was before all of that. Okay, and then I just threw a curveball in there. Obviously, the Phoenician is way later. Okay, but I just, like I said, you got to play dumb. Okay, when did the Phoenician script appear? All right, 1200 to 1000 BCE in the Levant. Okay, Phoenician city-states. Okay, and Tyre and Sidon is mentioned quite a bit in the scriptures, especially I believe dealing with the prophet Isaiah. But don't quote me on that. But we can find some examples. It won't be pertaining to writing, but it just so we can pull some scriptures about talking about Tyre and Sidon. I say? Oh, is it close to the aforementioned scripts? Which we understand it's not, but you know, you got, like I said, you got to ease your way into the questions. Okay. Okay. Phoenician. What did I say? Sumerian cuneiform appeared about 1900 to 2000 years before. Okay, so that's the gist of that. Structural comparison and function, or structural and function comparison. Okay, logographic and symbolic with hundreds of wedge shapes and signs. Okay, extensive training. All right, and then in contrast, the Phoenician was simple alphabetic. Okay, with 22 consonants because there were no vowels in the Hebrew. Okay, and that, as the Hebrew was written out with that, it gave way to the Greek and the Latin. Okay, and we'll get there. We're gonna get there. Hieroglyphs, right? Not pertaining to any of this. Okay, so influence from the earlier systems. Phoenician script likely evolved from earlier Northwest Semitic or Sham Shemitic writing systems such as Proto-Sinaitic script. Okay, and that is going to be that pictograph that we looked with the before you had the Phoenician, and that's where we're going here. So the Proto-Sinaitic to the Phoenician to the what you see the Assyrian and the Greek. Furthermore, proving the point that when you go into these scriptures here, and we're going to look at it when I pull up the language of Canaan. When you go into the scriptures here, and they're using this Assyrian script here that the Northern Kingdom did not use. You know, furthermore proving that these people are liars, pretending to be somebody that you are not. This is an Assyrian script. This was not the Phoenician that the Southern Kingdom used, which is mostly, pretty much entirely what the scriptures are pertaining to. Almost in their entirety, of course. Where am I at? Here we go. Okay. So let's go a little bit further. So here's where we are looking. This is where it gets to the part that really... Actually, let's go to the summary. Okay, Phoenician script, 1200 to 1000, much later than Sumerian. Okay, hieroglyphs, Indus Valley is not close in time or form. All right, unrelated. Okay, and he's going to go into these different writing styles, but just to prove a point that, you know, quote-unquote Europeans, what you need to do is replace what he's saying, Europeans, at the end of this TikTok video here. Replace European with Edom, with Esau, Edom. Okay, going finishing the summary here. It's not close in time or to form these systems. Alright, as is a streamlined alphabetic script, unlike the complex logographic syllabic system of its predecessor. Okay, so its closest link are the hieroglyphs. Alright. Via the intermediate Proto-Sinaitic script. Okay, now, this is what I asked it, and then we'll go back to this TikTok video, because this is where here's where we're honing in, right? How does this connect to the Israelites of the Bible? The Southern Kingdom used a form of this Phoenician writing, and then I asked, and so we'll go through that, okay? And then it starts talking about the other earlier forms that we just need to completely disregard, which is what I wrote. Let's stick with the hieroglyphs. Since we know ancient Israelites were slaves in Egypt, what writing style did they use? They had to have their own, since they got the Ten Commandments shortly after the Exodus. So that's where they cite Proto-Sinaitic. And then further moving on to the Phoenician script. Alright, so we'll just read here. We're going to get the language of Canaan. Okay, and let's see its message to Egypt. But we understand Isaiah far, far, far. The timeline does not match up. So you have to have some understanding here when this is Egypt. This is captivity or the oppressor, and especially for modern speaking on today. And we'll get to his, we're going to get to his TikTok, but this is going to be probably a little bit of a lengthy one because we're going to go through it. Alright. I especially want to be long, and I especially want to, offer this up as a proper sacrifice on the right hand side, right? Because we got so-called Easter today, and I want to go against anything pagan. I want to make sure I'm glorifying Yahweh Bashim Shai the best way I can. There we go. As you should as well. The burden of Egypt. Behold, Yahweh rideth upon a swift rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. Okay, and that is this place. Alright, trampling upon the idols of Babylon the Great. Babylon, daughter of Babylon, Egypt. Okay, that is why he said he will set Egyptian against Egyptian. As you see. Right, yeah. And I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, as we are seeing. Okay, old Trump is getting it done, ain't he? And I will destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to their idols, and to their charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. Okay, that is why we go in talking about, the daughter of the Chaldeans. Okay, they're trying to channel those left-handed spirits, and they're slowly but surely not answering them, because the Lord is making it known He's in charge, and this place has run its course. And now we want my point that I wanted to get. What did I say? Language of Canaan. I think it's 9, right? Damn. I just had it. 18. Okay. Too far. I remember how we... Oh, actually... Where am I at? Because it said those 5 cities, right? Damn, I just lost my spot. Okay, how does connect Islam's Bible, Phoenician? Because it mentions Tyre and Zidon. Okay, here we go. Alright, historical cultural context, Phoenician influence. Phoenicians based in coastal city-states like Tyre, Zidon, Byblos were major traders of cultural influence in the ancient Near East during the late Bronze and early Iron Age. Okay, so, and that's how it furthermore proves just how true and real these scriptures are, this historical context here. This is a history book, an abridged history book, tracking the people of the Lord. Okay. In that day shall 5 cities in the land of Egypt speak the language of Canaan. Alright, and at face value, that doesn't make sense. How does the 5 cities, the Phoenician, those city-states, speak the language of Canaan in the land of Egypt, right? So you see how you got to put these spiritual things, how you need the spirit, you got to put these things together. Alright, this is a future tense, Egypt being representation of captivity here, right now. So speak the language of Canaan, and swear to Yahweh of hosts, one shall be called the city of destruction. In that day there shall be an altar to the Lord in the midst of the land of Egypt, and a pillar at the border thereof to Yahweh. Now, what we really want to hear was just the point in 18, that they would speak the language of Canaan. So, I was surprised that it still showed. I thought they would have taken it down by now. But here you have. Man, give me the pictures. Right? Even in, so you have the Moabite, okay, Ammonite, because who were they came from Lot, and these are Shem, these are Shemitic people, even Esau, Edom, they are Shemitic, but they are the Hebrew Edomites, right? Now they are out of Shem, they are not the Hebrew Israelites, and here are the Israelites, okay, the Hebrews. So you got the Phoenician script that they adopted. That is the Paleo, and it was consonantal. Remember we read consonantal. There are no vowel points, right? So there you go. Aba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ka, ta, ya, ka. Like that. La, ma, na, sa, I. There's your only one, that long one. Pa, ta, za, qua, ra, sha, ta. And there is the Assyrian script. Phoenician, Paleo, Proto, or Ancient Hebrew. And there is the Assyrian that they attach and then use their own weird bastardized language. You know who the they is that I'm talking about. So when you go and you do your translation, so say, where are we at here? In the land of Egypt, and you see how they add their vowel points to an Assyrian script and call it Mizraim, but it's not. So that would be Canaan or Canaan. You just gotta go in, add the letters. So we'll do the short one. Speak. You have these characters here, and then you want to pull up your handy dandy rusty trusty Hebrew text and line it up and see. Right? So there's da. Alright, so there's your da. There's the da. And then there is your ba here. And here, there's the correct way. And then ra. Here's your ra. Okay. And then you go and so on and so forth and add it where you add it. The bar. Alright. So we got that piece right there. Oh, hold on. Where are we at? So if you check this out, you know what? We'll get there when we get there. So we pulled up the language of Canaan, right? And that shows that Phoenician script, that Paleo Hebrew. Okay, hold on. Here's a map. Why not? Northwest Shum Semitic languages. Oh, still right in the same. This is present day. Okay, never mind. All right, so let's get to it, and we'll stop and grab scripture as accordingly. And remember, replace Europe or European with Esau, Edom, or Edomite. And they love to use the phrase civilization started with the Greek when the Greeks, again, used everything from ancient Egypt and even further back, Babylon. And we'll even get to some of the names of the gods. We'll get Babylonian gods, and then how they went through from Babylon to Egypt to Greece. Everything, they do not originate anything. And anything that they do create, it is not for good, it is for death, it is for more killing. They want to be efficient, even more efficient in killing. Writing language now. Europeans as they do everything else. Everything Esau, Edom touch turns to shit. It's like the reverse Midas touch. You know, let's see. Alright, a person is so successful at anything they do, it seems like a superpower or a blessing, right? But they got the reverse. I want to look up what the origins of. Alright, King Midas, alright, of Phrygia, is granted the ability to turn anything he touches into gold. So we're talking reverse Midas touch, and everything they touch turns to shit. They pervert it. didn't innovate script. They mispronounced it. Called it Latin. It made it mandatory. The alphabet to get out of reading out. I forget. The first phonetic alphabet to be merged in the sight readings. Phonetic markers to Egyptian. These were consonant alphabets derived from Egyptian alphabets to Greek sounds. Latin mention. This is the origin of every modern alphabet. What you never hear it talk about. Why did? Okay, origin of every modern alphabet. Let's pause right there. Actually, we don't need that. Or, yeah, or that. We're good with that. Now look at this, proto-Sinaitic. And then of course they use their perverted language. Alright. But there is your proto-Sinaitic for Greek, ba, ga, you see? And then from Greek comes the Latin. All the way on down, right, with the addition of some other letters that shouldn't even be there. But it should be 22. Da, okay? Look, you see the da, that's where you get the delta. There's your ha. Look at that. What is, man? Absolutely beautiful. There was something else I needed to get. Oh, yeah. That's why I have John 19 and 19 up right here. Okay, this is Yahushua being put on the cross. Okay, so these are the... I closed a window I shouldn't have closed. But anyway, John 19 and 18, and where they crucified him and two others with him on either side, one and Yahushua in the midst. And Pilate wrote a title and put it on the cross, and it was the writing, I don't even want to say that word, but it's Yahushua of Nazareth, King of the Jews. This title then read many of the Jews, for the place there was Yahushua was crucified was nigh to the city, and it was written in Hebrew and Greek and Latin. And now people will try to replace Hebrew and say Aramaic, okay, and that is just a form of misdirection. It is Hebrew, it is Greek, and it is Latin. Okay, because who was Aram? Where did he first appear? Okay, so this is the children of Shem, and that is why you have the term Semitic languages, because they all come from Shem. They're out of the line of Shem, but of course the Lord has chosen in Isaac shall thy seed be called, right? He chosen the Israel, Abraham, Isaac to Jacob. The name was later changed to Israel. So we'll look at this real quick. Okay, children of Shem, Elam, your Indians, alright? So Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. And the children of Aram, Uz, so it's breaking them down now. Uz, Hol, Gather, and Mash. Arphaxad begot Selah, Selah begot Eber, okay? Eber is where we're going with the language. So that's why they may be closely related, but it ain't the same. And unto Eber were born two sons, as it fit. See, so and slow down. it follows the chosen, okay? What did I just read? Oh, unto Eber were born two sons. The name of one Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan. Joktan begot Almodad and Shelef and Hazarmaveth and Jerah, and then Hadaram and Uzal and Digla and Obal, Abimael and Sheba. Okay, all these were the sons of Joktan, and their dwelling was from Mesha, and thou goest unto Sephar, and mount of the east. these are the sons of Shem, and after their families, and after their tongues, and in their lands, after their nations. So these were different nations that were made. Okay? And notice it split from Aram, and then it started going directly into Eber. Son of Shelah, great grandson of Shum, father of Peleg and Joktan. They also Gadite tree. Eber, or Heber, where Hebrew comes from, the region beyond. That region beyond would later be a nomen omen for that promised land, okay, or the land of the Canaanites. And the Lord said, "Dog, you're going to root them out because of their wicked abominations. And if you do after these Canaans, after these heathen, I'm going to root you out of the land too." The reason why we're sitting here today and not a sovereign nation. Alright.
50 BCE is the Phoenician alphabet in modern Syria spread to Nazarene incredibly efficient
and you see how he splits the Greek and the Hebrew, and he's probably talking about that bastardized form, but let's let him finish. That's cool. We're gonna stick to the point here, because I'm already pushing 30 minutes.
Un-European, multilingual, sailing, and trade. So when Europeans made the alphabet, someone else important,
and that is their legacy, claiming somebody else's important log. That is Esau Edom's legacy.
The Greeks adopted the Phoenician script, but since they couldn't understand glottal spells and emphatic consonants, they misassigned leftover syllables to vowels for big achievement, turning Semitic phonemes into Greek vowels because they didn't know how to pronounce and spells innovation. That's phonological looping. Most Greeks weren't literate, and those who were wrote bush-to-feet, switching directions every line like a confused crow.
Now, I never looked that word up, and I didn't get a chance to see how it's spelled. Maybe it was B-O-U. There we go. Writing from right to left and from left to right in alternate lines. So imagine trying to... Good grief. Okay, booster feet in the writing of alternate lines in opposite directions, as from left to right and from right to left. Example, the archaeologists noticed that the text on the tablet was written in booster feet. Okay. Okay, did you know, before the standardization of writing from left to right, the ancient Greeks inscribed, and of course everything was written from right to left, but clean contrary, alright, they do left to right, once used a style called booster a word meaning literally turning like oxen in plowing. When they came to the end of a line, the ancient Greeks simply started the next line immediately below the last letter, writing the letters and words in opposite directions, thus flowing the analogy of oxen plowing the field. So it's going, as soon as the ox would plow, he would go up to the field, and instead of going down and coming back, like how you reset a typewriter, he would just go directly, make a turn on his heels, and then plow directly back the way he came, but on to the next line. Okay, simply started the next line immediately below the last letter, writing the letters and words in opposite directions, and thus following the analogy of oxen plowing to right, then right to left. Reverse booster feeding, right? So, goodness. And found in which the inscribers turn the documents 180 degrees before starting a new line, so that the words are always read left to right with every half turn. The word booster feeding itself is formed from the Greek word for the ox or cow, boast, and the verb straphene, which means to turn. So I wonder, let's see if we can find if there's ox. I don't remember if there's ox in the New Testament. Probably not. Oh. Okay, so let's look. Let's see. Well, damn. I didn't. Lost where I was at. 13, 15. So let's see. I wonder if it's Koine Greek or like modern Greek that they're using. Am I tripping? Ox. Bos. Hey, exactly. Look at that. Ox or a cow. Okay. Now, what else did they say here? And the verb, which means to turn. Okay. Just get me to turn to the Lord. Alright, that's a verb. He's trying to physically turn it, or let's see. Turn the hearts. Turn you again. Okay, let's see. And this is what you gotta do. You really gotta get all the meat off the bone. Okay, so no, that's a different verb because it's meaning instead of physically turning, it's turning the hearts. Like this is figuratively speaking, so it's not gonna be the same. Okay. Well, we're almost through this. I'll probably let him go like another minute or two. Well. Run that back. Look at that. So then, I wonder if we go back to John 19:19, and I'm being facetious. Oh, dang it. I didn't put a space. Alright, so I wonder here, what name you think could have been written? Because there damn sure wasn't no J, right? 1500s, and now the prophets brought that out. And now you see his knowledge has increased. Especially because this unicorn, the internet, it did all the heavy lifting, right? By way of the Holy Spirit, of course. So, ain't no J's. Where are the J's? And it was consonantal, remember? Those Semitic languages were consonantal. So it couldn't have been anything but the name we've always been proclaiming. And it may not be perfect, but through faith, right? We're going to believe, we're going to hold on to Yahweh, Wah, and Yahweh Shah. Yahweh, Wah, Yahweh Shah. Okay, Yahweh, meaning he is, he exists, Bahashem, in the name of Yahweh Shai. Okay, he saves or he delivers. He is the deliverer. Alright, now we're going to go, we let him go on. That was all I really needed from that point. I just wanted to get to the J. Okay, so we're going back to Brock. How does this connect to the Israelites of the Bible? Southern Kingdom used the form of this Phoenician writing, alright? Wait, did I go too far? Hold on. the Phoenician script directly connected to the Israelites, particularly through the influence on the writing system used by the ancient Hebrew people, including those in the southern kingdom of Judah. The Phoenician script, as one of the earliest alphabetic systems, served as a foundation to several Northwest Shemitic scripts, including the Paleo-Hebrew script, also called Old Hebrew, which was used by the Israelites. Here is how the connection unfolds. So we're looking at that Phoenician influence. Coastal cities, right? Especially because you're doing business, you're doing trade. It's good to have a standardization, something standard in place. Major traders, cultural influence, ancient Near East during the Late Bronze and Early Iron Age. Their proximity to the Israelite kingdoms, Israel in the north and Judah to the south, right? That split, okay, of the kingdoms, facilitated cultural and technological exchanges, as I just mentioned, including writing, right? Israelite adoption. The Israelites emerged as a distinct people around 12th century BCE, adopted a script closely related to the Phoenician for the writing their language, Hebrew. This script, known as Paleo-Hebrew, was nearly identical to the Phoenician script in its early forms, with minor regional variations. Paleo-Hebrew script and the southern kingdom use in Judah. The southern kingdom of Judah, centered in Jerusalem, used Paleo-Hebrew script from at least 10th century BCE to the time of the United Monarch, under David and Solomon. To the First Temple period, 586 BCE, this script was used for religious, administrative, and monumental purposes. Okay, it goes and talks about the evidence here. Okay. We can roll past that. We don't really need their comparison to the earliest because it's not the same. Religious and cultural identity. The adoption of the Paleo-Hebrew script allowed the Israelites, especially in Judah, to record their covenant with Yahweh, as seen in texts like the Torah and early prophetic writings. This preserved their religious and national identity. Okay, so when you go and you get Psalms 83, and it talks about cutting us off from being a nation, okay, everything was removed, even the writing, and that is why they go even further enough to pervert it right here in the Blue Letter Bible by using the incorrect script. Okay. Or is this 91? No, we're 83. Alright, thine enemies make a tumult, and they hate thee that have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, consulted against thy hidden one. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. Okay, no tie to the land, no tie to the culture whatsoever. And the Lord said he would do that, and he used the other nations to do so, to execute that judgment. Okay, I forget the Roman emperor. I did a video on it. I forget his name. That changed the name of Israel to Palestine. Hadrian, emperor. That's who it is. Hadrian. He changed the name from Israel to Palestine. Right. There we go. Call Allah Yahweh Bashmi outside for that. And alright, that was further to remove us from the land. So in that way, when you get in the land of our captivity, come on, that's like pissing me off. Shall remember themselves. Jeremiah, Baruch. Dang, I'm tripping. That's why it's not there, because it's in Baruch. Okay. So when you go, what did I say? 2, and 5. Kingdoms round about to be a reproach and a desolation. Let's see, we'll do 4. I should have kept it. I think it was 2 and 5, if I'm not mistaken. I'll just redo it. We're just gonna do it. 2 and 30. Okay. All right. So we'll scrape some meat off the bone here. All right. Therefore the Lord hath made good his word, which he pronounced against us, and against our judges that judge Israel, and against our kings, and against our princes, and against the men of Israel and Judah, to bring upon us great plagues, such as never happened under the whole heaven. And it came to pass in Jerusalem according to things that were written in the law of Moses. Alright, thus we were cast down, not exalted, because we have sinned against the Lord our power, and have not been obedient unto his voice. Alright. All these plagues come upon us. Alright, wherefore the Lord watched over us for evil. And the Lord hath brought it upon us, for the Lord is righteous in all his works which he hath commanded us. Well, we didn't hearken. That's why we fell up. That's why we're in the position we're in now. Let's see. I'm just trying to make sure we can get everything that pertains to the point in verse 30. The king, but if we... Okay, I will cause to cease out of the cities of Judah and from without Jerusalem the voice of mirth and the voice of joy, bridegroom, the voice of the bride, and the whole shall be desolate of inhabitants. Alright, and the house which is called by thy name hast thou laid waste. Alright, now that's why. Kind of cutting us off from being a nation. And the name of Israel be not remembered. And for our wickedness. Okay, and here's the point here. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivity they shall remember themselves, right? And in that land Judah and Israel were oppressed together. No, you know what? I ain't even gonna mess with the old English. Rael. That's the one I was looking at. I was confusing it with Jeremiah. Alright, so in the land of their captivity they shall remember themselves. Jeremiah 50 and 33. Oh, crap. Okay, 50:33. It's our subheading here. Prophesy against Babylon. So we'll go straight to the point here. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were pressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast and refused to let them go. Alright, so when you read these together, we will remember ourselves here in this captivity, because we knew who we were in the other captivities. But this one was the big number. This was the fourth, final, and the worst of them all. And knowing everything that happened to our people in these other captivities, we can kind of ascertain what's coming when we see when Jacob's trouble does hit full-fledged. It's a great and a scary time that we're going to be in, but you know, what did the Lord say? My servant shall eat. I forget where that's at. And now we're kind of getting away from the point, but it's fine. The precepts are coming. I'm just going to get them, and I'm, you know, prayerfully, you're sticking with me. Because as Judah and Israel being oppressed together, remembering themselves, right? These devils, that means they're in. That it means they're ruled, right? Why? I forget where that one's at too. We'll come back to it. Okay, so we don't need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. And I did read Baruch 2 and 30. Okay. In the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. Alright, now, why, when we remember ourselves, I forget where it's at. Or maybe it's 2 and 5. Nope. You know what? Let me not do it. Second Esdras. I was way off. Second Esdras 6 and 9. Goodness. Nope. Now I got it backwards. 6 and 9. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followed. So when we read this here, and I read in Jeremiah first that in the land of our captivity they shall remember themselves. That great awakening spells the end of them, spells the end of their rule. So he got nothing left to do but to come down with great wrath. All right, heavy persecution, and showing who he is. He's going. This devil, this Edomite, is going to return to his brutal and bestial nature. All right, but with that, okay, he will get 2/3 of our people. He gonna get a lot of our people. But call Allah Yahweh Bashim Shai for the remnant. Okay, and as everybody is in turmoil and in panic and suffering, and those who are numbered to the sword go get the sword. Those who are numbered to famine will have famine, and to the pestilence, Okay, that remnant, his servants, those of us who invested in this thing early, and I say us humbly and prayerfully. All right, therefore thus saith Yahweh, power, behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servant shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servant shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed. Behold, my servant shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. Alright, that's what's coming for the rest of these folks, for everyone else. Alright, these plagues and this harsh judgment, we will be in the midst of it, but prayerfully, those of us listening, learning, preaching, and teaching in sincerity and in truth, we are the number that we will eat and be merry, eat, drink, and be merry. All right, it doesn't mean that this time won't be scary. All right, but prayerfully, we're of that number, on the good side. We're on the right side of judgment. Okay, so since we have kind of got off course, and I think I've got all the precepts that we needed. The point was made, especially with these early writing systems and going into the paleo, and capitalizing off the alley-oop from the dude on TikTok. I think it's something the Vanguard, Josh the Vanguard or something like that. But if you go back to rewind it, you can see it and get his name and and look at the full video on your own. But with that being said, I truly pray that you were edified. I hope you stuck with me through this. And on to the next. Shalom.